This is a Fox News alert, and there is a big story breaking right now in Washington. The Associated Press is now reporting that a leading expert on Medicare, in fact, the chief Medicare actuary, just testified before Congress that two of the major promises the president made on health care are not likely to come true. The man in charge of crunching the numbers for Medicare testifies before Congress moments ago that the landmark legislation likely will not hold down costs and likely will not let everyone keep their health insurance that they now have if they like it. That is in direct contradiction to the assertions made by the president and those who backed this law repeatedly, including as recently as last night. Joining me now to react to this breaking news is Simon Rosenberg. He's president of left-leaning think tank NDN, and he's a former advisor to President Bill Clinton, and Chris Plant, who is a radio host of the Chris Plant Show. So, gentlemen, my apologies because this just crossed, right? So we're trying to get our arms around it too. But the chief actuary is Richard Foster, and according to the Associated Press, there's a hearing that's going on right now. We were going to talk about it. They're trying to look at how the health care law is affecting jobs. This guy's gone back to the actual health care law itself and the promises made behind it, and is saying that it likely will not hold costs down and will not let everyone keep their current health insurance if they like it. Just last night, Chris, the president said that Medicare and Medicaid, the costs associated with, the health insurance reform law will slow those rising costs, will slow the costs. Now you got the chief actuary saying, no, it won't. Your thoughts on that?
Well, who are you going to believe? The politician or the actuaries? And it's not just Barack Obama. This thing has been a bill of goods from the get-go, as they say. And thankfully, the Republicans are doing the business of the American people and what the American people on Election Day sent the Republicans here to do. They're doing what the Democrats should have done if they were a responsible group of politicians before this legislation was passed. But you may remember Nancy Pelosi, the now former Speaker of the House, saying you're going to have to vote for the bill to find out what's in it. Well, now Republicans are doing the people's business and we're finding out what's in it. Isn't this something that should have been known before the bill was voted on? Isn't this a hearing that should have been held before? Where is the adult leadership here? Where is the news media on this? How was this bill of goods sold without going through at least these first preliminary obvious steps in public hearings? The American people should really be outraged at what has been inflicted upon us. And, Congressman Dave Camp, who is now the Republican chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, took this up today to look at the impact on employment and the economy, something that I think should have been done before now.
Well, and that's
and
one
here
thing.
We are.
And that's one thing, but now you've got the chief actuary, Simon, coming in and saying, sort of before we get to that, let me tell you how the president's claim is untrue. I mean, that's obviously a paraphrase, but this is obviously problematic. I'm surprised, quite frankly, to see the chief actuary for Medicare testifying like this.
So, 2 points. One is that there were dozens and dozens of hearings on the Hill, which the Republicans participated in, asked lots of questions during this whole process. Everything that the other guest just said is completely wrong and completely misleading. I mean, this was the most discussed piece of legislation that we've had in Washington perhaps in the last 20 or 30 years. And the Republicans were active participants in all of the dozens of hearings that took place. So I think this idea that this was done in the dark of night is just ridiculous and false. Second point is that there has been independent analysis done of this legislation. It was done by the Congressional Budget Office, and it doesn't agree with the chief actuary. And what the actuary said, and I read the same piece, Megan, that you read, he said probably. He didn't say it will. He said it will probably be difficult to meet the cost reduction goals and targets that have been set by the administration. My challenge to the Republicans is work with the president to make sure that doesn't take place. Make sure that we actually can get the cost down in Medicare and in Medicaid as promised by the president, and to work with him to make sure this thing happens the way that we want it to happen.
I'm going to let you weigh back in, Chris, as you clearly want to, but I just want to ask Simon to follow up on that.
Yeah,
because you know the criticism of the Congressional Budget Office's numbers. They say it's sort of what you put into it is what you get out of it. So if you give it numbers that aren't exactly right, you're going to get numbers out that aren't exactly right. Now, but
yeah,
this guy,
I just don't agree. I just don't agree with that. So that's okay, Megan.
But this guy, I mean, do you have reason to doubt this? They say I got to admit, I'm not familiar with the chief actuary, Richard Foster. They say he's independent, he's an economic expert, and he's the actuary. He's the guy responsible within Medicare for crunching the numbers. So do you have reason other than political motivation? Do you have reason of your own? Do you have reason to doubt his testimony?
Since I didn't actually see his testimony and I don't know exactly what he said, from reading the same thing that you've read, Megan, what it says is that he thinks it's going to be difficult and possibly it will be hard, right? It may be impossible to hold to the spending cost reductions that the president is committing to, and I don't think anybody disagrees with that.
It says
I think it's going to be hard. Let me finish.
It probably won't hold costs down.
Right, probably
and it won't let everyone keep their current health insurance.
No, but I think on the cost control, I don't disagree with the actuary. It's going to be hard, but it's something we have to do, and the Republicans have made it clear that they want to keep spending down. This is going to be an obvious place for collaboration between the two parties in the years to come. We have to keep the cost of Medicare down. And I think that what he's saying is it's going to be hard. I don't think that's news.
Oh, okay. I'll give you the last word, Chris.
Yeah.
Oh, it is news. He's the chief actuary. The Democrats held hearings before the bill was passed. Remember, we had to vote for it to find out what's in it. Now we're finding out what's in it. The chief actuary of Medicare was not invited by the Democrats. Only cheerleaders were invited by the Democrats when they were in charge of the witness lists for these hearings. Now the truth is beginning to come out. It will continue to come out. And I'm sorry, my friend, but your position is going to become more and more difficult to defend because the facts will come out now that the Republicans are in charge. And this is the first of many hearings.
Let's have the debate.
Okay,
and to say that it wasn't done under cover of darkness is not true.
For the viewers now. We got to go because now we're running out of time. But I want you guys to know, and I want our viewers to know that this is all on tape. We're queuing up the sound. We got to go through the tape, get the sound. We'll play it and see if it requires further analysis. But thank you, gentlemen, for
Megan. Thank you.
Swinging with the punches with us because we just had that broken. That wasn't exactly the topic we asked you to discuss.